You are out of control. How many times has this been said to you by your mom, your dad, a teacher, an authority figure, a police officer, maybe even yourself? That little voice in your head saying, you know what, you're out of control. I can't believe you're eating one more spoonful of peanut butter. I can't believe you're eating one more bar of chocolate. You are out of control. The truth is, you've never been in control. Never. Simple. From birth, though, we have been taught that control is necessary, a necessary part of living this life as a human. By society, by our parents, by our authority figures, they have all taught us to grip so tightly to this belief, to grip so tightly to this illusion that we are in control. That if we can just control a little bit more, plan a little bit more, force a little bit more, life will somehow go our way. But in reality, this illusion of control is hurting us. When has being in control of a situation ever really, truly solved something? Now, why is it important to learn this? Because if you're watching this, you probably deal with addiction at some level. And no, it doesn't have to be drugs, but it certainly can be. There's all kinds of other things. But just like any substance, control keeps us trapped in anxiety, fear, and rigid thinking. We need to understand this, to really learn this and embody this truth, because control is an illusion. It doesn't exist. You think that you're the driver's position in your car in life, but you're not. Stay tuned and I'll tell you really where in that car you're sitting based on what we understand through science. Control blocks our flow state. You need to understand this because you have within you a power that flows through you that is so much more capable, so much more talented, so much more imaginative, beautiful, infinite than what your conscious mind is, than what your conscious mind can push out, can force out. That is why things like flow state in athletes is so critical, in musicians, in writers. And control keeps us trapped. And so by learning that you don't have control, you can stop suffering. And isn't it good to let go of suffering? Won't it help you to live a better life by letting go of the need to control everything? Look, if you want to be free, if you want to release your addictions, your addictive patterns, step into your true life's purpose, live a life that you want to live and not that someone else is trying to force you to live, then you have to let go of control. Now, my biggest lesson around control came in 2021. I went into the mountains in San Luis Potosi in Mexico, in the desert near Real de Catorce, which is famous for being the land of peyote, a powerful psychedelic cactus. Now, a friend of mine, a shaman, a healer, a guide, he had told me that you need to go sit with abuelo. You need to go sit with grandfather. And oddly enough, synchronistically, I did have a seat with peyote in central Mexico, and actually just about a mile, a kilometer away from the Teotihuacan pyramids. It was a powerful experience. It was transformative. It was painful, it was difficult, and it was beautiful. But he said, no, you need to go to the desert and you need to go talk to abuelo on his homeland, on his home turf. And I said, okay. I thought I just needed to follow this. And so I went there. He set up a ride so that we could get dropped off in the mountains. We would go out and walk on foot, and we would spend the whole day and the whole night, possibly longer, harvesting peyote, eating it, and going on the journey. We set our offerings. We placed out a little altar at the first cactus that we found. We offered our prayers. We said thank you. We played our drums. And then the next cacti after that, we began to eat and put in our bag for later. That trip was difficult for me for a lot of reasons. One, most importantly, is that my hands were so filled with cactus spines that my hands began to twitch uncontrollably. I felt like I couldn't control the movement of my hands as we were sitting around the fire that night under the beautiful, open, clear night sky. in the middle of the desert, thirsty because my guide didn't bring enough water for us. Kind of a weird thing to do in the desert. But hey, I was trusting him. So my hands are twitching. I'm freaking out because I think, wow, how can I possibly fulfill my life's purpose if I have no hands? How can I type out an email to a client? How can I maybe write a chapter of a book? How can I, over and over again, trying to control. Now, the hands are reflective of the need to control. So any pain in your hands, any time that someone has surgeries or issues with their hands, it's because it's reflecting this need to control, this feeling like they need to control everything in life. Well, I'm sure my friend, my guide that night, got really fed up with me repeating the same message over and over again. And he looks at me and he says, "You need to walk over there to that tree and you need to go have a conversation with God. You need to tell God to explain to you what's going on, and you need to surrender control because you've never had it. You think you're in control of your life, but you're actually not." Okay? All right. I'm open to anything at this point. I think that my hands are probably just going to fall off now. I don't know if you've ever had experiences with plant medicines, but wow, the tricks that they can play on us. Now, they're not tricks just to mess with us, they're tricks because they help us to reveal our deepest fears. And for me, it was the fear that I might actually be out of control and that would be a bad thing. And so I walked over to that tree. I looked up at the heavens and I said, "God, help me to understand what's going on. I thought I had a purpose on this planet. I thought I had a, a mission. How am I going to do that if I have no functioning hands?" And now I spent some time there having this conversation with God or myself or the stars or the trees or I don't know what. Can't tell you exactly what. But I walked away and I thought, maybe he's right. Maybe I don't have any control. Fast forward to the next day. He wants to get some food. I just wanted to sleep, but I listened to him and we got in the car, and even after having a flat tire and changing it and putting on the spare, that little donut, we drove to the next town to go get some food because there was nothing open in the tiny little village we were in. And I closed my eyes to meditate a little bit because I was tired, but I wanted to be present and stay awake because I know it was good for him to have somebody watching the road with him. And then all of a sudden, the car starts to swerve. And then we run into one cactus, two cactus, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And I reach over and I realize that he has fallen asleep. And I reach over to tap him and he wakes up, he jerks the wheel, and then we're flipping in the air. But the only thing that flowed through my mind in that point was, I have no control. I have no control. I have no control. I have no control. And I was like a Zen Buddhist monk, my hands limp in my lap, my body fully calm and relaxed. And before I knew it, we were upside down in the middle of the desert on a Sunday with barely any traffic, hardly anyone driving by. Surrendering to a higher force is a core teaching. And in fact, for those of you that have been through 12-step, that's pretty much the first thing you got to do is surrender your life up to a higher power and say, I don't really have control. There's something greater than me that is driving this thing. Now, I never did 12-step, didn't resonate for me. And guess what? I've been able to quit every single substance without it. And you can too. But there's something important in there. The people that in my programs have the most success are the ones that recognize that there is a greater life force, an energy, a consciousness, a spirit, the universe, God, Allah, whatever you want to call it. They have the understanding that there's this let go and let God mindset. Even in the concept of the system of human design, which is so supportive of my clients and my life path, Ra Uru Hu, the founder, said that the mind is a computer and it was never designed to guide us. It was designed to crunch numbers and process things and to process concepts and understandings. But the role of guiding us is actually our inner authority. That could be your splenic intuition. That could be your sacral gut response. That could be your emotions. It could be a lot of things, but it's not your mind. So what this means is that if you're trying to figure out life from your mind, you're already lost. Your brain is just a tool. And true guidance comes from your higher self, your soul, your connection with spirit, with God. It comes from your intuition. It comes from your inner authority. And you get to practice that. And I trust me, life gets so much better when you recognize that you don't need to be in control, that you don't need to figure it out. Stop trying to figure it out, because you're never going to. Instead, let go. Listen to the signs. Learn how to interpret your reality. Your reality is a mirror and a reflection of your inner world. Your reality is always guiding you. Your intuition, your gut, that voice deep inside, not the voice in your head that's questioning and saying, you're out of control, but the one deep inside that has a knowing. Now, how are we going to do this? It seems kind of challenging, going from a lifetime of trying to control everything. How do we do this without feeling lost or helpless? Well, let's talk about number one is you need to soothe your nervous system. How are you going to do that? Breathing techniques. Deep, soothing, slow, measured, maybe even counted breathing techniques. Things that are going to engage your parasympathetic nervous system and get you out of stress, get you out of fight or flight, and get you into rest and digest. Somatic release practices, shaking, tapping, movement, breath work, deep, intense somatic breath work. Getting something like an intestinal massage like I got the other day, and I shared about that in one of my videos. I'm talking about how it's okay for us to rest. We don't have to be working all the time, which is very much in alignment with this process, this idea that we need to let go, right? We need to create trust building exercises. It's little ways that we can let go, such as instead of planning out my exact path of how I'm going to get to my meeting or to my vacation destination or whatever it is, mapping out every single turn and every part of the route, maybe you can just get in the car and go. Now, probably easier when you don't have a timeline to work on, a place to be at an exact time and space. But it could be a good way to just trust your gut, trust your intuition. You might be able to find exactly what you want, if not maybe something better, faster, and in a more fun and enjoyable way. I was in Shela, one of the biggest cities in Guatemala, and I was there to visit a naturopath. After my appointment, where he was helping me to regenerate some tissue using a homeopathic remedy, I went to the hot springs up in the mountains, and I hadn't been there for 5 years, and it was beautiful. It was so refreshing and restorative. And also, I came back after sitting for the 3 hours in the hot springs, sweating. I was so tired. Got back to the city, and I wanted nothing more than to just shove food into my face. And I decided to sit down in the park instead and really listen to myself and ask myself, is this craving an emotional craving, or is it a true need from my body? After giving myself that space, which is another great way to be able to learn how to let go, is to give yourself some time, slow down, allow yourself to ask questions, to inquire, to feel the truth in your body. Listen to your heart. Listen to something other than just your mind. Then you can break free from those old patterns, because in the old days, I would have just gone to a restaurant and shoved food in my face to feel better temporarily until I actually probably just felt worse. And then I decided to just get up and walk to my house, my hotel. And in the process, I took whatever route felt good for me. I knew where to go. I knew how I could get there, but I allowed myself to be guided by my curiosity. And all of a sudden I saw a bag of tea in a little shop window. I went over there and I saw that the shop was closed, but I kept looking in, and I don't know why. I just felt like I needed to see if they were open. And I knocked. It was like 5 o'clock. It wasn't that late, but late enough for them to be closed. And an old woman opens the door, and she looked a little scared, a little hesitant. And I said, "Hello, good evening. I'm curious to tell me a little bit about your teas. I'm looking for something to clear parasites out, something to help with my digestion." And she said, "Wow, your Spanish is so great. Please come in. Please come in." And then all of a sudden, she's giving me all these recommendations. I bought 2 bags of tea. Then she gave me 2 more for free. And then she mentioned that her daughter is a massage therapist. And I said, by chance, does your daughter do massage? Like, could she do one tonight? And she said, "Hey, Maribel!" And she yelled, and her daughter comes out. And she said, "Yeah, absolutely, I can do a massage." And that's what I needed more than anything, was something to help continue this process of resting, not just eating some food to feel better temporarily. That night, because I listened to my guidance, because I sat down and gave myself the time and didn't rush to try to control and get away from these challenging emotions and these challenging feelings in my body, I actually got a better solution, a more interesting solution that helped me to feel much more deeply at rest and at peace than if I would have just done what the old program did. Because look, your mind is the source of all confusion. It is. Mind is the source of all confusion. The heart has never been confused. The body has never been confused. We might have thought that, but the heart simply was misinterpreted and misunderstood by the mind. The body might have been misunderstood or misinterpreted by the mind. But these things, these inner authorities, these sources of wisdom, they know deeply, deeply our truth. Look, I want to give you just one or two questions for you to be able to reflect on in your own time. These are great for journaling or even just voice noting a response to yourself to be able to see what comes through and trust. Let go of trying to make the best answer and just trust that as you respond by freely writing or by freely speaking into the microphone, that everything will come through and you'll get what you need to know. So here you go. And I'll have these written in the description. What would happen if I truly let go and trusted life? On the other side of that coin, what wouldn't happen if I truly let go and trusted life? What am I afraid will happen if I let go of control? And the last one, who in my life taught me that I need to have control? That's a good one, because that'll point you a little bit more to the source of your conditioning. Once you know the source, it's a lot easier to be able to undo those threads. Now, I'm going to guide you into a short hypnosis experience, a little exercise that's going to help you to start reprogramming your unconscious mind so that you can actually let go and soften a little bit. Practice what the Taoists call Wu Wei, effortless living, effortless action, where you can go with the flow of the river, still maintain your oar, and you can paddle and steer every now and then, but you can allow the river to do most of the work for you. So make sure you're in a space that's comfortable and safe, that you're not driving or you're not going to put yourself at risk if you close your eyes, because I want you to go ahead and take a deep breath in. And as you exhale, I want you to close your eyes and let all of the tension go. Right now, I want you to really try to keep your eyes open. Take a deep breath in and try to keep your eyes open as you exhale and let all of the tension go. Right now, I want you to continue to try to keep your eyes open. Continuing to take nice, deep, full breaths and letting go through the mouth. And notice that the harder you try to keep your eyes open, the more naturally they just want to close, the heavier they become, almost as if the more that you try to stay in control, the more control slips away. And now just allow your eyes to close fully and relax, and allow this softness and this relaxation to flow through your entire body. Imagine you're floating in the ocean, trying to fight against the waves. The more you fight, the more exhausted you become. And then you realize that there's no way that you can swim all the way back to shore. It's time to surrender. And you find that your body naturally floats. Controlled rhythmic breathing keeps your body on the surface of the water. And you find that you're effortlessly moving, being carried exactly to where you need to go. Just like a leaf in a river. Does the leaf need to control where it goes? No, it simply allows the current to guide it. You were never meant to force life. You were meant to flow with it. Right now, in this moment, feel yourself surrendering to something greater than yourself. And as you do, trust that everything is unfolding exactly as it should, because it is safe for you to surrender. Surrendering does not mean giving up. Surrendering does not mean letting go of the victory, failing, and being defeated. No, surrendering is trusting its power. It is courage. And it is safe for you to surrender. It is safe for you to listen to your heart's desires. It is safe for you to listen to those energies, those vibrations, those sensations in your body that might tell you that someone or some place is or is not right for you. It is safe for you to trust the signs in your reality, the coincidences that are never coincidences. They are synchronicities. They are divine alignments that show you that you are on the right path, or they gift you the direction that you're meant to go in. It is safe for you to let go. Now, when I count from 1 to 5, I want you to come back into this space, and you'll feel a tremendous sense of confidence in your body. You have a gentle smile on your face, and you'll know that at another level inside of you, another part of you is learning more and more how to trust, how to go with the flow of the current instead of trying to paddle upstream. 1, moving your fingers and your toes. 2, starting to hear the sounds around you. 3, feeling the energy in the environment in which you are in. 4, starting to take a nice big stretch. And 5, opening your eyes, feeling awake, ready to go, and rested and rejuvenated. Now look, you were never in control. Just like when that car landed upside down on the desert on the side of the road. I'm looking over and I see my friend, and he's blacked out, and I shake him awake, and he gasps as he sees that he's bleeding out from his arm, a huge gash in his left arm. And I have no idea what to do, but I just start to act. I unbuckle his seatbelt. He drops to the roof of the car, which is now beneath us, and I kick out the remainder of the glass from the window. I get outside from my side of the car. I go around and I pull him outside. I pull him free, and then I grab his belt, and he instructs me how to put a tourniquet on him, because if I don't, he's going to die. To help with the process, I rip off my white shirt, my ceremonial garb I had used during the medicine journey, and I tear it into strips, and I start to wrap it around his wound, making sure that he can control the bleeding. Because there's some things in life that you don't want to let flow completely free. Fortunately, a good Samaritan came by and took him to the hospital. And when the police arrived, they didn't see a dirty hippie shaman looking guy that was there with me. They just saw me, a white guy who looked like a tourist. I put on a different shirt, and I looked just like somebody who's driving through the desert. I had an unfortunate accident. They asked me what happened, and I said something must have come out from the road, caught me by surprise, and I jerked the wheel and flipped. And police officer looked at me and he said, "I've been working on this road for almost 40 years. And he opens the top button of his shirt and he shows me a skull on a necklace. He says, "I'm very familiar with death around here. And there's no way that you should have come out of this alive. You got some angels watching over you. God blessed you today. So I would recommend that you be thankful." He gave me a cigarette, which I didn't really like to smoke, but in that moment, yeah, that cigarette felt like the best thing that I could ever have in that moment. Because I recognized that I didn't have control, because I had programmed that into my mind the night before with a very powerful plant substance, which I don't recommend. But because I had done that, because I'd gone through that surrender, I walked out of that experience alive. My friend, yeah, he was alive, but he didn't do so well. They stitched him up, but it wasn't a good hospital. There weren't that many people working on a Sunday. It wasn't very clean. He had a lot of numbness around his arm. It didn't look like it was going to be easy to heal. But me, just a little bump on the head because I let go. So if this resonated, I want you to drop a comment and tell me, where in your life are you trying too hard to control? Now subscribe more for deep dives into the truth behind the mind, spirituality, transformation, and addiction, and how it is that you, by letting go, can let go of those old patterns that are keeping you stuck. My name is Christopher Armstrong, addiction transformation coach, here to help you live your most authentic, true life, living your true purpose, so that you can enjoy this journey, even if it's from the passenger seat.